I get asked a lot, why shouldn't I eat gluten? Is gluten evil? Is there a lot of hype around gluten? And the truth of the matter is that the grains that we have nowadays contain more gluten than they did back in ancient times. Plus, they've been bred and hybridized to a point where our digestive system oftentimes does not recognize it anymore. So add agricultural practices like using things like glyphosates on them, otherwise known as the common brand is Roundup from Monsanto. And you often have a reaction to the glyphosates or to the gluten protein itself, which has been concentrated and changed. And so there's a lot of people who are having issues with gluten now. Gluten's not evil for everybody. I know plenty of people that seem to be able to eat it and nothing bad happens. And so, they can keep on eating it. I would suggest that they use organic wheat, organic gluten, only because then they can avoid the glyphosates, because there does seem to be some real evidence that glyphosates have caused an increase in a compound in our intestines called zonulin. And zonulin can increase what we call leaky gut, which can be a problem and cause multiple food allergies, which can then cause inflammation and exacerbate autoimmune conditions such as joint pain, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, arthritis, a lot of those autoimmune conditions that we know about. So gluten is a very complex thing. There's a lot of people now who are finding they can't eat gluten, that they're reacting to it. So instead, I would try an alternate grain, organic, such as rice, millet, quinoa, instead of gluten, just because gluten is causing a lot of issues with people. I am seeing more autoimmune disease in my clinic and more gluten intolerant people in my practice than I did when I started doing this 30 years ago. And I think part of it is we're reacting to the chemicals we're using to grow the gluten. And grains have changed because they keep hybridizing them and making them so that a lot of people can't digest them anymore. So if you think you might have an issue with gluten, the easiest thing to do is do a 4 to 6 week trial. Usually you need 6 weeks of avoiding gluten. See if you notice any change in your symptoms. If you just want to know whether you have an issue, you can get some antibody tests to check and see if you do have an autoimmune reaction to gluten. That might point to celiac disease, which is a whole other level of reaction to gluten. And a lot of people find that that's true, that they have a reaction to gluten. And if you've already been avoiding gluten, but you'd like to know for sure if you have the gene, you might consider doing a genetic test to see if you have one of the SNPs, the portions of a gene that could predispose you to celiac disease. So anyway, a lot of people are having issues with gluten, and there's a lot of reasons why. So anyway, this is your little public service announcement about gluten. Gluten is evil sometimes for some people. Other people seem to be fine with it. So anyway, thank you. Have a great day.